Welcome back to Z Coins. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell because today we're diving into something absolutely jaw-dropping: the top 9 most valuable Abraham Lincoln penny coins in the world. Some of these tiny pieces of copper and zinc have sold for over $1 million. That's right, you could be holding a small fortune in your hand without even knowing it. We're diving deep into one of the most iconic and widely circulated coins in American history, the Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. But more specifically, we're talking about the 1975 penny. You might have a few of these lying around in your change jar or tucked away in an old drawer. But did you know that some of these pennies could actually be worth far more than just 1 cent? Let's get into the fascinating history, hidden value, and current market worth of the 1975 Lincoln penny. First things first, a little history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first American coin to feature a real historical figure. Up until that time, coins featured representations of liberty rather than actual people. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original Lincoln cent had the famous wheat ears on the reverse. In 1959, to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial on the back, which continued through the year 2008. Now fast forward to 1975. The penny that year still featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, facing right with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, liberty to his left, and the date 1975 to the right. Just below the date, you may see a small mint mark, either AD for Denver or no mint mark at all, which would indicate it was minted in Philadelphia. In terms of composition, the 1975 penny was made primarily of copper. Specifically, it is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This makes it part of the pre-1982 copper penny era, which is important because copper has intrinsic value. Pennies made after 1982 have mostly zinc content with just a thin copper plating. So even for scrap metal value alone, the 1975 penny is already worth more than a cent, about 2 to 3 cents depending on the current price of copper. But wait, it gets more interesting. While billions of 1975 pennies were minted, over 5 billion from Philadelphia and more than 4.5 billion from Denver, certain versions can fetch quite a bit more. What makes some of these coins valuable are errors, varieties, and their condition. Let's talk about coin errors first. Error coins are rare, and collectors go crazy for them. Some 1975 Lincoln pennies have known errors such as double die obverse, where the date or lettering appears slightly doubled. If you come across a 1975 penny with a noticeable doubling in the phrase "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" or the date itself, that could be a double die variety and can sell for several dollars or more depending on condition. Then there are off-center strikes. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process. A 1975 penny that is struck 10% or 20% off-center could be worth anywhere from $15 to $100 depending on the degree of the error and the coin's overall condition. Another thing to look for is a coin with a high grade. Coin grading is a system that rates the condition of a coin from poor all the way up to perfect mint state. A 1975 penny that is uncirculated and graded MS65 or higher by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC could be worth anywhere from $10 to $50 or even more in some cases. Coins with perfect surfaces, sharp details, and full luster are much more desirable to collectors and therefore command higher prices. Now let's talk about proof coins. These are special coins made for collectors and are not meant for general circulation. In 1975, proof sets were produced by the San Francisco Mint, so you may come across a 1975 penny with an S Mint mark. These proof pennies have a mirror-like finish and sharp details. While most proof 1975 pennies are only worth a few dollars, some ultra-cameo examples with high grades can go for $10 or more. So what is the current market value of a 1975 penny? If you have a regular circulated one, it is probably only worth about 2 to 3 cents for the copper content. If you have one in extremely good condition, maybe 5 to 10 cents. But if you have a mint state version or one with an error, now you are talking real money. MS65 examples can go for $10 to $50 and error coins can range anywhere from $20 to $150 depending on the type and rarity of the error. Rare finds with dramatic errors like broad strikes, double dies, and die caps have been known to sell for several $100s at auctions. So if you are serious about finding out what your coin is worth, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded or appraised. You can check online marketplaces like eBay or coin auction sites to compare prices of coins with similar grades and features. Alright, so to recap, the 1975 Lincoln penny is made of valuable copper, and while most of them are only worth a few cents, rare errors and high-grade specimens can be worth real money. Keep an eye out for double dies, off-center strikes, proof coins, and anything unusual about the coin's design or appearance. And always check the condition. Sometimes a penny really is worth more than a penny. We dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, currency, and collectibles. Today, we are taking a closer look at one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1976 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a penny from 1976. Really, that sounds pretty ordinary, right? But stay with me because there is actually a lot more going on with this little coin than meets the eye. In fact, some versions of this penny are worth far more than just 1 cent, and collectors are paying top dollar for the rarest example. So grab your magnifying glass, sit back and relax as we go on a journey through the value, history, and surprising worth of the 1976 Lincoln penny. First things first, let us talk a little bit about the design of the coin. The Lincoln cent has been around since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was a big deal because it was the first time a real person was featured on regular United States coinage. Before that, coins usually showed symbols like liberty or eagles, but not actual people, so the Lincoln penny was already special from the start. Now fast forward to 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years since the Declaration of Independence was signed. Because of that, many coins like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar were given special designs to mark the occasion, but not the penny. The 1-cent coin kept its traditional Lincoln Memorial reverse design and the familiar portrait of President Lincoln on the front or obverse, but that does not mean the 1976 penny is not valuable. In fact, certain versions of this coin are now considered rare and collectibles. So let us dig into what makes some of these pennies from 1976 so special. The most important factors are condition, mint mark, and in some cases minting errors. Condition is key. Like most coins, the better shape your penny is in, the more valuable it will be. Coins that are in uncirculated condition, meaning they have never been used in everyday transactions and have no scratches or wear, can sell for much more than face value, especially if they have been graded by a professional service and received a high grade like MS65 or MS67 that stands for mint state and is part of a system that goes from 1 to 70. The higher the number, the better the condition. Next, let us talk mint marks. The 1976 Lincoln penny was produced at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, which had no mint mark; Denver, which used a small letter D; and San Francisco, which used an S. The most common are from Philadelphia and Denver, but the San Francisco pennies, especially those made for collectors called proof coins, can be more valuable. Proof coins are struck with special dies and have a shiny mirror-like finish. If you have a 1976 S proof penny in perfect condition, you might be looking at a coin worth a few dollars or even more. Now here is where things get really interesting. There are some error coins from 1976 that are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. These include things like double die errors, where the image appears to be stamped twice; off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned; and other minting mistakes. These kinds of errors are rare, but collectors go crazy for them. For example, a 1976 Lincoln penny with a dramatic double die obverse, where the lettering and date appear doubled, can fetch big bucks. Some have sold for over $500, depending on the severity of the doubling and the condition of the coin. Other rare errors include off-metal strikes, where a penny is accidentally struck on a dime planchet, or blank, meaning the coin is made with the wrong metal. Those are extremely rare and valuable. So what is the current market value of a 1976 penny today? In most cases, if your penny has been in circulation and shows signs of wear, it is probably worth 1 cent, maybe a little more if it is in decent shape. However, if you have a 1976 penny in mint state condition with no wear and strong details, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $20, depending on the grade. If it is a proof coin from San Francisco and has a high grade, it might be worth even more. And if you are lucky enough to have an error coin, especially a major one, then you could be looking at a value of $100, $200 or more. Here is a quick value breakdown, so you can get an idea of what to look for. Circulated 1976 penny typical wear, face value uncirculated 1976, no mint mark. From Philadelphia, around $1 to $5 uncirculated 1976 D penny. From Denver, around $1 to $5, $1,976 S proof penny. From San Francisco, in top condition, around $2 to $10, $1,976 Lincoln penny, with major mint error $100 to $1,000, depending on the type of error and coin condition. So there you have it, folks. The 1976 Lincoln penny might look like just another old coin at first glance, but with the right details, condition, and maybe a rare mint error, it can actually be worth much more than you think. It is a perfect reminder that even the smallest things in our pockets can carry hidden treasures and stories from history. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of coins, and today's spotlight is on none other than the humble yet historic 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny from 1978 featuring the face of Abraham Lincoln might be worth much more than just 1 cent. In fact, under certain conditions, and in the right hands, this little copper coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So make sure to watch till the end because you don't want to miss the rare types that could be sitting in your pocket right now. Let's start with the background of this coin. The 1978 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which started back in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first time in U.S. history that a real person appeared on circulating American coinage. Before that, coins featured symbols like eagles or Lady Liberty. Now, in 1978, the Lincoln penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It weighed about 3.11 grams. This was actually one of the last years the penny was made using this high copper composition, because by 1982 the U.S. Mint switched to a cheaper copper-plated zinc version due to rising metal costs. The obverse or front side of the coin shows the famous bust of President Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. This design has remained largely unchanged for over a century. The reverse or back side of the 1978 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, which was first introduced in 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears design used from 1909 to 1958. Over 5.5 billion of these pennies were minted in 1978 across two main mint locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, while the Denver coins carry a small D under the date. However, despite the huge number minted, not all 1978 pennies are created equal. Let's talk about what makes some of them valuable. First up is condition. As with all coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. A penny in circulated or worn condition will usually be worth just face value or a few cents at best, but uncirculated examples or coins in mint state graded MS65 and above by coin grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch between $5 and $15 on average. But it doesn't stop there. If you have a 1978 penny in MS67 red, which means it has original red luster and nearly flawless surfaces, that coin can be worth $100 or more. In fact, a few examples have sold at auction for over $250 each. Next up are the errors and varieties. This is where things get exciting. Certain 1978 Lincoln pennies have minting errors that dramatically boost their value. These include off-center strikes, double dies, where the image is duplicated slightly, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and more. A double die obverse or reverse, for instance, can be worth several $100s depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling. One of the most valuable known errors on a 1978 penny is a dramatic off-center strike combined with full date and mint mark visibility. Some of these have sold for over $400 at major auctions. So, how do you know if your 1978 penny is special? First, check the mint mark. Is it from Denver or Philadelphia? Then look at the condition. Are there any scratches or signs of wear? Next, look for unusual features like doubling in the letters or numbers, strange lines or shapes, or an off-center design. If you spot something odd, it may be worth sending to a professional grading service for evaluation. Now let's talk about current market value. In 2025, most 1978 Lincoln pennies are still only worth face value, especially if heavily worn, but a red uncirculated example in MS65 condition will get you about $5 to $10. Coins in MS66 can reach up to $20, and rare error coins can climb to hundreds or even $1,000 in rare cases. So what does this all mean? It means that the next time you come across a 1978 penny, don't dismiss it as just another old coin. Instead, give it a close inspection. You might be holding on to a little piece of American history that's worth a small fortune. We dive into coins, currency, and collectibles that could be hiding major value right in your pocket. Change. Today, we are talking about a humble yet historically rich piece of copper, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. And believe it or not, some of these coins are worth way more than just 1 cent. You might even be surprised to learn just how much collectors are willing to pay for certain versions of this coin. First, let's take a look at the background of this coin. The Lincoln penny, as most of you know, has been around since 1909 when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a real person on the obverse or front of the coin. The design by Victor David Brenner became iconic with Lincoln's bust on the front and the words "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date. The reverse of the coin originally featured 2 wheat stalks, but in 1959 that changed to the Lincoln Memorial in honor of the 150th anniversary of his birth. That Lincoln Memorial design stayed on the back until 2008. Now focusing on the 1980 Lincoln penny, this is part of the Memorial Reverse series and it's made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That copper composition is important because in 1982 the US Mint changed the composition to a cheaper zinc core with just a thin copper coating due to rising metal prices. So if you have a penny from 1980, you are holding a coin that's mostly copper and could actually be worth more than a cent in melt value alone, especially when copper prices are high. In terms of mint marks, the 1980 penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coin has no mint mark. The Denver version has a small d under the date, and the San Francisco coin has an S. The Philadelphia and Denver versions were meant for circulation, while the S mint was produced as a proof coin intended mostly for collectors. Now here's where things get exciting. Not all 1980 pennies are created equal. The vast majority are only worth face value, but rare error coins and high-grade examples can fetch serious money at auctions. For instance, if you happen to have a 1980 penny in pristine condition graded MS67 or higher, it could be worth anywhere from $50 to $300 or even more depending on market demand. The reason for that high value is simple: there just aren't many coins that have survived in that kind of flawless condition, especially ones that were made for everyday use. Even more valuable are error coins, and there are a few known errors for the 1980 Lincoln penny that collectors are eager to find. These include off-center strikes, double dies, where parts of the design are duplicated due to a misalignment, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. A double die obverse, for example, where Lincoln's image or the lettering appears slightly doubled, can add a lot of value to the coin, especially if it's a dramatic error. Another interesting thing to look for is the so-called wide AM and close AM varieties, but those mainly apply to coins from the 1990s. However, collectors sometimes search older coins for unique spacing or font differences in the lettering, especially around United States of America and 1 cent. Now let's talk about current market trends. As of this year, a well-preserved 1980 penny in mint state can easily sell between $1 and $25 depending on its grade and the mint mark, but coins with rare errors or exceptional quality can go for hundreds in 2022. For example, a 1980 penny in MS67 red sold for over $150 at auction, and proof coins from San Francisco graded PR70 deep cameo have been known to reach similar figures. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1980 penny? First, take a close look at the coin's condition. Is it shiny, clean, and free of scratches or marks? If yes, it might be worth grading. Secondly, check for mint marks and any unusual features like doubling or off-center designs. If you find anything odd or think your coin is in superb shape, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can certify the coin's condition and help determine its market value. And don't forget to check your change jars, drawers, or coin collections. You never know where a rare or valuable penny might be hiding. It's always a good idea to keep an eye out for copper pennies in general, because even the metal content can make them worth saving, especially as copper prices continue to rise. So there you have it. The 1980 Lincoln penny may seem small and ordinary, but in the world of coin collectors it holds some big potential. Whether it's an error coin, a rare proof version, or just a pristine example from decades past, it's always worth a second look. We dive into coins, currency, and collectibles that could be hiding major value right in your pocket change. Today, we are talking about a humble yet historically rich piece of copper, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. And believe it or not, some of these coins are worth way more than just 1 cent. You might even be surprised to learn just how much collectors are willing to pay for certain versions of this coin. First, let's take a look at the background of this coin. The Lincoln penny, as most of you know, has been around since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a real person on the obverse or front of the coin. The design, by Victor David Brenner, became iconic with Lincoln's bust on the front and the words "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date. The reverse of the coin originally featured 2 wheat stalks, but in 1959 that changed to the Lincoln Memorial in honor of the 150th anniversary of his birth. That Lincoln Memorial design stayed on the back until 2008. Now focusing on the 1980 Lincoln penny, this is part of the Memorial Reverse series, and it's made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That copper composition is important because in 1982 the US Mint changed the composition to a cheaper zinc core with just a thin copper coating due to rising metal prices. So if you have a penny from 1980, you are holding a coin that's mostly copper and could actually be worth more than a cent in melt value alone, especially when copper prices are high. In terms of mint marks, the 1980 penny was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coin has no mint mark. The Denver version has a small d under the date, and the San Francisco coin has an S. The Philadelphia and Denver versions were meant for circulation, while the S mint was produced as a proof coin intended mostly for Collectors, now here's where things get exciting. Not all 1980 pennies are created equal. The vast majority are only worth face value, but rare error coins and high-grade examples can fetch serious money at auctions. For instance, if you happen to have a 1980 penny in pristine condition graded MS67 or higher, it could be worth anywhere from $50 to $300 or even more depending on market demand. The reason for that high value is simple: there just aren't many coins that have survived in that kind of flawless condition, especially ones that were made for everyday use. Even more valuable are error coins, and there are a few known errors for the 1980 Lincoln penny that collectors are eager to find. These include off-center strikes, double dies, where parts of the design are duplicated due to a misalignment, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. A double die obverse, for example, where Lincoln's image or the lettering appears slightly doubled, can add a lot of value to the coin, especially if it's a dramatic error. Another interesting thing to look for is the so-called wide AM and close AM varieties, but those mainly apply to coins from the 1990s. However, collectors sometimes search older coins for unique spacing or font differences in the lettering, especially around United States of America and 1 cent. Now let's talk about current market trends. As of this year, a well-preserved 1980 penny in mint state can easily sell between $1 and $25 depending on its grade and the mint mark, but coins with rare errors or exceptional quality can go for hundreds in 2022. For example, a 1980 penny in MS67 red sold for over $150 at auction, and proof coins from San Francisco graded PR70 deep cameo have been known to reach similar figures. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1980 penny? First, take a close look at the coin's condition. Is it shiny, clean, and free of scratches or marks? If yes, it might be worth grading. Secondly, check for mint marks and any unusual features like doubling or off-center designs. If you find anything odd or think your coin is in superb shape, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can certify the coin's condition and help determine its market value. And don't forget to check your change jars, drawers, or coin collections. You never know where a rare or valuable penny might be hiding. It's always a good idea to keep an eye out for copper pennies in general, because even the metal content can make them worth saving, especially as copper prices continue to rise. So there you have it. The 1980 Lincoln penny may seem small and ordinary, but in the world of coin collectors it holds some big potential. Whether it's an error coin, a rare proof version, or just a pristine example from decades past, it's always worth a second look. Who found a shiny old penny in your pocket change and got curious? This video is for you. Today we're diving deep into the world of the 2000 Lincoln 1 cent coin. That's right, the humble little penny from the year 2000 that was minted in Denver might just be worth a whole lot more than 1 cent today. And trust me, you'll want to stick around till the end, because we'll cover everything from the coin's history to rare errors and how much collectors are paying for these little copper-colored coins right now in 2025. So let's start with a little background. The Lincoln cent has been around for over 100 years. It first appeared in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln and has been a constant presence in American pockets ever since. The obverse side features Lincoln's portrait, one of the most iconic and long-running designs on any U.S. coin. The reverse side, until 2008, showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo that debuted in 1959 and remained in place for 50 years. Now let's zoom in on the year 2000. The Denver Mint struck over 5 billion of these pennies that year. Yes, 5 billion with a B. So you might be thinking, if there are billions of them out there, how could it possibly be valuable? Well, here's where things get interesting. When it comes to coin collecting, value isn't just about rarity. It's about condition, mint errors, die varieties, and demand from collectors. The 2000 penny might seem common, but there are specific versions and special errors that can command premium prices on the market. Let's talk about condition first. Most of the 2000 pennies you'll find in circulation are well worn. But if you come across one in mint state condition, that is, a penny that looks shiny and new with no scratches or wear, it can be worth more. Grading services like PCGS or NGC assign numerical grades to coins. A coin graded MS 65 or higher, which stands for mint state 65 or better, can bring in anywhere from a few dollars to over $10 depending on demand. And if you're lucky enough to have a near-perfect coin, say an MS67 or MS68, then you're talking serious money. One 2000 penny graded MS68 red sold for over $250 at auction. And yes, that's for a coin that originally cost just 1 cent. Now let's move on to errors and varieties. And this is where things get really exciting. There are some 2000D Lincoln cents out there that were struck with dramatic errors. For example, some coins were struck off-center, others were double struck, and some have die cracks or die clashes. These are the kinds of things collectors love because they make the coin truly one of a kind. Depending on the type and severity of the error, these pennies can fetch prices from $20 to over $500. A major off-center strike or a strong double die can turn your penny into a prized collectible. And then there are the die varieties, coins that were struck with subtle differences in the dies used during minting. One example to watch for is a strong die clash where the details from the reverse side accidentally show through on the obverse. These varieties are often hard to spot with the naked eye, but with a magnifying glass or microscope, they become clear. Collectors pay a premium for these unusual coins because they tell a story. A story of what went wrong at the mint that day. So how do you know if your 2000D penny is worth more than face value? Here are a few steps to follow. First, check the overall condition. If it looks pristine and uncirculated, you're off to a good start. Second, look for any unusual marks or signs of doubling, misalignment, or clashing. Third, consider getting it graded by a professional service if you believe it could be a high-grade or error coin. Yes, grading costs money, but it can be worth it if your penny turns out to be worth hundreds. Now let's talk about the current market in 2025. With inflation and growing interest in numismatics, that's coin collecting, the value of certain modern coins has actually increased. Many young collectors and even casual hobbyists are turning to Lincoln cents as an affordable entry point into the world of rare coins. Online auctions like eBay and heritage coin sales have reported spikes in demand for error coins and high-grade specimens of the 2000D penny. While the average circulated penny from this year is still only worth face value, those in top condition or with rare errors are seeing record prices. Some MS-68 graded coins have recently sold for as high as $400 in online auctions, and that's just one example. So if you've got a jar of old pennies sitting around, it might be time to take a closer look, especially if you see that little D mint mark underneath the date, because your 2000D Lincoln cent might just be the hidden treasure you never knew you had. Even better, hunting for these coins can be fun, educational, and possibly profitable. And hey, finding a $250 coin in your spare change is a story worth telling. Alright friends, that's it for today's deep dive into the 2000D Lincoln 1-cent penny. Whether you're a serious collector or just coin curious, keep your eyes open, your pockets jingling, and your magnifying glasses ready. We're diving deep into one of the most interesting and often overlooked coins in recent US coinage history, the 2002D Lincoln 1-cent penny. That's right, the penny that many people still have tucked away in jars, drawers, or old wallets. What makes this coin so special? Why do some of them sell for a surprising amount of money? And should you be checking your change more carefully? Let's find out. First things first, let's talk about the basics of this coin. The 2002D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small letter D located just below the year on the obverse, or front, of the coin. It features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which has appeared on the penny since 1909. This design was created by Victor David Brenner and has stood the test of time as one of the most iconic American coin designs ever made. Now, while the design didn't change much in 2002, what's fascinating is the variety of conditions and errors that make certain versions of this coin incredibly valuable to collectors today. In terms of total mintage, over 3.4 billion, that's billion with a B, 2002D pennies were produced. That might make you think they're too common to ever be worth much. But here's where things get interesting. The value of the 2002D Lincoln penny depends heavily on two things: condition and whether there are any mint errors. Coins that are heavily circulated with scratches and discoloration usually aren't worth more than face value. But coins in uncirculated or near-perfect condition can sell for several dollars, and sometimes much more, depending on collector demand. Let's talk about condition grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin with no flaws even under magnification. If you happen to find a 2002D penny in mint state 65 or higher, you're looking at a coin that could fetch anywhere from $2 to $15. And if you're really lucky and find a coin graded MS67 or higher, its value could jump significantly, sometimes reaching up to $50 or even $100 depending on the buyer and the market. Now onto the exciting part: error coins. These are coins that were made with mistakes at the mint, and collectors love them because they're so rare. Some known errors in the 2002D penny include off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, and clipped planchets. A double die, for example, means the coin was struck twice by the die, causing a noticeable doubling of the date or letters. Depending on how strong the doubling is, these error coins can be worth anywhere from $20 to hundreds of dollars. Another thing to watch for is what's called a satin finish. In 2005, the US Mint began using a special satin finish for mint sets, but some collectors have noticed that a few 2002D pennies might have an unusual finish that resembles satin, possibly from test strikes or planchet issues. These are extremely rare and should be professionally evaluated to determine authenticity. So now the big question. What's the current market value in 2025 for the 2002D Lincoln cent? Well, based on recent auctions and coin collecting sites, here's a breakdown. A typical circulated 2002D penny is still only worth 1 cent. No surprise there. A coin in uncirculated condition graded MS65 can be worth about $5 to $10. A top-grade MS67 coin has recently sold for over $60. Error coins vary wildly. A double die or off-center error can bring in $50 to $300 or more, depending on how dramatic the error is and the demand from collectors. If you want to sell or buy one of these coins, online platforms like eBay, Heritage Auctions, and PCGS are great places to check. You can also take your coin to a certified coin dealer or attend a local coin show where experts can give you an accurate appraisal. Just be sure to do your research, and if you're serious about selling, consider having your coin graded by a professional grading service like NGC or PCGS.to wrap things up. The 2002D Lincoln penny might seem like just another coin in your change, but it could be a hidden gem, especially if it's in top condition or features a rare mint error. It's always worth taking a second look at your pocket change. You never know when a single cent might be worth $100 or more. We're diving into a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket or piggy bank right now, the 2013 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might be surprised to learn that this small copper coin could be worth far more than just 1 cent. So let's take a journey through its history, its special features, and most importantly, how much it could be worth today. Let's begin with the basics. The 2013 Lincoln penny features the same familiar image we've seen since 2010. That's right, the obverse, or front of the coin, shows a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design was first introduced way back in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. It was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it became the very first U.S. coin to feature a real person's face. Fast forward to 2013, the design still features Lincoln's bust facing right with the word Liberty to the left and the date 2013 stamped on the right. Just under the date, you'll notice the mint mark, which can either be a small D for the Denver Mint or no mint mark at all, which means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. If you see an S mint mark, that means it was made in San Francisco and likely part of a special proof set, which we'll talk about later. Now turn the coin over to the reverse or the back, and you'll see the Union Shield design. This replaced the Lincoln Memorial design that was used from 1959 to 2008. The Union Shield has 13 vertical stripes representing the original 13 colonies and a horizontal bar at the top representing Congress. A scroll with the words 1 cent is draped across the shield, and United States of America is inscribed along the top. The design symbolizes Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single united country during the Civil War. So what makes a 2013 penny potentially worth more than face value? Great question. Most 2013 pennies in circulation are worth just 1 cent, but certain factors can raise that value dramatically. These include condition, errors, rarity, and collector demand. So let's break these down. First, condition. A 2013 penny that's been sitting in your change jar probably has scratches, dings, or discoloration from years of use. But if you happen to find an uncirculated penny in pristine mint state condition, it could be worth more, especially if it grades MS65 or higher on the Sheldon scale. That's a numerical system coin graders use to evaluate a coin's condition. Coins graded MS65 and above can sell for several dollars or more, depending on the market. Second, let's talk about errors. This is where things get really exciting. Error coins are mistakes made during the minting process, and collectors go wild for them. Some examples include double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and die cracks. A 2013 penny with a dramatic error could easily fetch $10, $50, or even hundreds of dollars depending on the rarity and type of error. For example, a 2013 D penny with a strong double die obverse where the date or Liberty appears doubled could sell for over $100 if the doubling is clear and the coin is in great shape. Another thing to watch out for is the so-called transitional errors where the mint accidentally uses the wrong metal composition from a previous or future year. These are extremely rare, but when they're discovered they can be worth thousands. Always weigh your coins with a precise digital scale because a genuine copper penny will weigh about 3.11 grams, while a modern zinc penny will weigh about 2.5 grams. If your 2013 penny weighs closer to 3 grams, it might be worth getting it authenticated. Let's not forget about proof coins. These are special, highly polished coins made for collectors. They're struck multiple times to give them a mirror-like finish. If you have a 2013 proof penny in flawless condition, it might be worth a few dollars or more, especially if it's graded PR69 or PR70, which are near-perfect grades. Some proof coins are included in sets, but sometimes people break them up and the coins end up on the secondary market or even in circulation by accident. Now let's talk market value. As of this year, most circulated 2013 pennies are worth just face value, that's 1 cent, but uncirculated examples in MS65 or better condition can fetch between $1 and $5, and those with rare errors can go for $50 to $500 or more. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are usually worth around $3 to $10 depending on grade and presentation, but the real jackpots are the rare error coins or the ultra-high grade examples that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. Here's a fun tip: want to find valuable pennies? Check your pocket change, your coin jar, or even rolls of pennies from the bank. You never know what treasures you might find. There have been multiple reports of people finding rare error coins in circulation just because they took the time to look carefully. So to recap, the 2013 Abraham Lincoln penny is more than just a simple coin. It's part of a long legacy of American history. It represents unity, strength, and the enduring memory of President Lincoln. While most are only worth a cent, a few can be worth a fortune depending on their condition and unique characteristics. If you're into coin collecting or just love treasure hunting, keep your eyes peeled for these little copper gems. If you love coins, collecting history, and learning how some ordinary change in your pocket could be worth a small fortune, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because today we are diving deep into a modern penny that has surprised collectors and dealers alike. That's right, we're talking about the 2017 P. Lincoln 1-cent coin. This isn't just any penny. This little copper-plated zinc coin made headlines among numismatists in recent years, and it might still be sitting in your pocket change right now. So let's talk about what makes this 2017 P penny special, its history, how it came to be, and most importantly, how much money it can be worth today. First off, let's go back to the basics. The Lincoln penny has been around since 1909, when it was first minted to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The original design featured his bust on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back. Over the years, the reverse design has changed several times, from the Lincoln Memorial to the Union Shield, which is what we still have today. Now let's fast forward to 2017. That was a pretty important year for American coinage because it marked the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint. To celebrate that anniversary, for the first time ever in history, the Philadelphia Mint decided to place a small letter P mint mark on the Lincoln cent. Now, normally Philadelphia Mint coins do not have a mint mark. When it comes to cents, that means up until 2017, any penny without a mint mark was assumed to be from the Philadelphia Mint, but in 2017 they made an exception. It was the first and only time Philadelphia cents featured a P right under the date on the obverse side of the coin. That makes this coin a 1-year only issue and a must-have for collectors. So why did they do it? It was a quiet tribute to the employees of the Philadelphia Mint. They wanted to recognize their hard work over 2 centuries without making a big flashy announcement. This mint mark was kind of a secret when it first came out, and many people didn't even notice until much later. That's part of what makes it such an interesting story. Now let's talk numbers. The U.S. Mint produced over 4.3 billion, yes, with a B billion, of the 2017 P pennies. That might sound like a huge number, and it is, but that doesn't mean they're all worthless. You see, most of those were used in circulation, and many have already been scratched, dented, or corroded. Only high-quality, uncirculated examples are worth serious money, and that's where things get exciting. If you have a 2017 P Lincoln cent in your pocket or coin jar, take a closer look. If it's in pristine condition with no scratches, sharp details, and a strong strike, it might be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Some examples graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC in MS67 or higher have sold for anywhere from $30 to over $150, depending on the demand and condition. But that's not all. There are also known errors that can add serious value. For example, some 2017 P cents have been found with double dies, meaning parts of the design, especially in the lettering, look doubled under magnification. There are also off-center strikes where the image is not properly aligned, and die cracks which look like raised lines across the coin surface. All of these types of errors can fetch premium prices, often between $50 and several $100s, depending on rarity and severity. As of today, the market value for a regular circulated 2017 P penny is still just 1 cent, but if You have a nice shiny uncirculated version, or better yet one with a known error, it could be worth checking with a coin dealer or sending it in for grading. Even a roll of uncirculated 2017 pennies can sell for more than face value on eBay or collector marketplaces. So how do you know if yours is valuable? Here's what to do. First, get a good light and a magnifying glass. Check the coin for any mint errors, doubling, or damage. Then look at the overall condition. The higher the quality, the more it's worth. And finally, consider getting it graded if you think it's something special. Coin grading services can give you an official designation that adds trust and value to any coin. In conclusion, the 2017 Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of modern coin history, a tribute to America's oldest mint, and a potentially valuable item for collectors across the country. Even if you don't find a rare or valuable one, it's a great reminder to always check your change, because you never know what kind of hidden treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more videos about coins, currency, and collectibles. Drop a comment below if you found a 2017 penny or want me to cover another coin in a future video. Until next time, happy hunting and keep checking your change.